It started back in 2018. A young black woman, a student at Smith College, was peacefully minding her own business and eating lunch when a police officer approached her and asked her some questions. The student filmed the encounter and framed it as though it was racial profiling and that it was a horrifying experience to have this officer come up to her, to have someone call the police on her for simply minding her own business. She said that she was approached simply for the crime of being black. But an independent investigation found that it was not true. Apparently, the officer was called for a different matter and politely just inquired as to if this person knew what was going on or if something had happened. And that was really it. But following this, the university went nuts, started making life a living hell as this student complained about the racial profiling. Apparently, several people were ousted from their jobs and things just got really bad at the university for a lot of people. It got particularly contentious. The whole thing was just not true. I would say it was a hoax. But take a look at this glorious sentence from the New York Times. The story highlights the tensions between a student's deeply felt sense of personal truth and facts that are at odds with it. Personal truth? You mean you were wrong and overreacted and ruined people's lives and their experiences at this university? The facts showed that you were incorrect, and that's just your personal truth? My friends, you've heard many stories like this. This is not the only one. There are a ton. And we are seeing the explosive expansion of left-wing racial identitarianism, which allows for this type of exploitation. We've already seen many people launch GoFundMe fundraisers and make hundreds.
It's the dream.
Oh! Jeremy here from TheQuartering. Hey, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Tuesday. Wait, what day is it? Wednesday? Is it Thursday? Man alive, I spent so much time down here in the studio. I'm legitimately checking what day it is. Thursday. Henry Cavill's canceled. That's right. Bet you didn't know that. And it is over a woman he dated like 10 years ago. The internet is blasting Henry Cavill because of a woman he dated. Imagine what woman that might be. The internet's blasting Henry Cavill because he dated Gina Carano. It's been a tough week for the former Mandalorian actress Gina Carano following Disney's decision to dismiss her from the Star Wars and future projects, though apparently Henry Cavill is also finding himself under heat for no other reason than having dated her at some point. Just when you think the toxic and dull-witted environment of social media platforms couldn't get any worse, some folks inevitably find a way to baffle you yet again. In this case, the people attacking the Witcher star because he had a romantic relationship with Carano. And some of them even went so far as to compare the previous couple to the boys' villains, Homelander and Stormfront.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. How are Democrats supposed to unite the country if they can't even unite themselves? Things just went from bad to worse. Democrats across the country are being censured, and of course at the top of the list is Governor Andrew Cuomo. When I say things just went from bad to worse, I mean it. And Andrew Cuomo is so beyond finished it's not even funny. We've already essentially declared, I mean it's not exactly a hard declaration to make, that his political career is over, but the mobilization of people just going after him in New York is expanding potentially. So this just happened in New York, and let me show you guys the best parts. Here are the highlights of New York officials railing against the failed governor. Check this out.
You know, I know sometimes this issue is starting to get framed as some sort of political witch hunt because that's what the governor wants. But we can't lose focus. This is about getting justice for our families here in New York who are grieving their loved ones, who deserve answers, and who deserve to know why it is that their loved ones were moved without their consent, why some of them were given near lethal cocktails as supposed medicine, and didn't necessarily receive the appropriate medical care that we expect to receive. We need to get to the bottom of this. And I'm here as the chair of the Labor Committee because I continuously hear the governor blaming the workers at the nursing homes who weren't provided the proper PPE, who weren't provided proper guidance, who didn't get any special training, who didn't get any heads up that they were going to be getting new patients to take care of, where there wasn't an appropriate staffing to patient ratio, all of the things that could have been done to make the situation easier. There's a lot of reckoning that's going to take place here in New York.
A student senator at American University had some harsh words for white students returning to campus this spring. A professor at Virginia Wesleyan University slammed conservative students in an email obtained exclusively by YAF. And a professor at Michigan Technological University is under fire after he voiced opposition to a new faculty resolution that wants to mandate race training. All that and more on today's Weekday Update. I'm Kara Zupkis, the assistant editor for Campus News here at YAF, and I'm joined today by my colleague.
Hi, I'm Carolee Geis, YAF's Capitol Hill Outreach Director. All these stories today were submitted through YAF's Campus Bias Tip Line, which you can submit at yaf.org/tips. So I'll kick it back over to the gatekeeper and the exposer-in-chief here at YAF who runs the Campus Bias Tip Line. Kara, can you tell us what's happening at American University?
Yeah, so this was a really crazy story. I was really shocked when this came through our tip line a couple days ago. I'm a student senator at American University who also happens to be an opinion columnist at the student newspaper there, which is called The Eagle, had a really riveting op-ed that they published. And essentially it's talking about the proposal to bring students back to campus this spring. And this African-American woman student, she's a freshman, she had quite a spicy quote in this piece. She says, "The large influx of predominantly affluent white students into DC's Chocolate City, a term that refers to its large population of black citizens, could evoke similar effects of settler colonialism and negatively impact the community." And then she therefore goes on to kind of explain what settler colonialism is and evokes a comparison of white people to an invasive species.
So there are a couple qualifications to be considered an invasive species. You must cause harm to the environment, the economy, or to human health.
Demolished, annihilated, removed from the planet in one foul swoop. The removal of a French fry and tater tots, we may call it, from the Potato Head character from Hasbro has been castrated. That's right. There is no more Mr. Potato Head. Therefore, there must also be no more Mrs. Potato Head. Erase women much, Hasbro? This has been a spectacular backfire, masterclass in ridiculous corporate virtue signaling from a company that couldn't care less about its workers. But hey, look what it did.
Andrew Cuomo's career finally seems to be falling apart. It is amazing that all it took was Donald Trump losing an election for people to recognize that Andrew Cuomo's a bag of garbage. Some of us have been saying he's a bag of garbage for a year. Longer than that, actually. But Lindsey Boylan, who's a former progressive sort of icon in New York, she has a long piece out over at medium.com talking about how Andrew Cuomo apparently routinely sexually harassed her. And, you know, I'm glad that she came out with this now. It would have been much more useful had she, apparently this has been happening for years. It would have been much more useful if she had come out about this earlier. And when I say useful, I mean if you want to stop people who engage in alleged sexual predation, it would be great if you would come out when they first engage in that. Again, I'm glad she's doing it now. But if you want to stop people from doing bad things, you should probably say so when they do the bad things. In any case, Lindsey Boylan says, here's what she writes. My story of working with Governor Cuomo. Let's play strip poker. I should have been shocked by the governor's crude comment, but I wasn't. We were flying home from an October 2017 event in Western New York on his taxpayer-funded jet. He was seated facing me, so close our knees almost touched. His press aide was to my right and a state trooper behind us. That's exactly what I was thinking. I responded sarcastically and awkwardly. I tried to play it cool, but in that moment, I realized just how acquiescent I had become. Governor Andrew Cuomo had created a culture within his administration where sexual harassment and bullying is so pervasive that it is not only condoned, but expected. His inappropriate behavior toward women was an affirmation that he liked you, that you must be doing something right. He used intimidation to silence his critics, and if you dared speak up, you would face consequences. That's why I panicked on the morning of December 13th. While enjoying a weekend with my husband and 6-year-old daughter, I spontaneously decided to share a small part of the truth I had hidden for so long in shame and never planned to disclose. The night before, a former Cuomo staffer confided to me that she, too, had been the subject of the governor's workplace harassment. Her story mirrored my own. Seeing his name floated as a potential candidate for U.S. Attorney General set me off. In the next few tweets, I told the world what a few close friends, family members, and my therapist had known for years. Andrew Cuomo abused his power as governor to sexually harass me, just as he had done with so many other women. So what exactly did